she's still there. Not just as a memory, but as a vibration that echoes through your mind, a frequency you can't seem to tune out. You feel her presence, even when she's gone. You sense her energy, like a shadow cast by a light you can't see. But what if your obsession isn't just psychological? What if it's something deeper, something rooted in the very fabric of reality? Modern science has begun to uncover what the ancient Stoics only hinted at, that your thoughts, your emotions, your very consciousness may extend beyond your physical mind. Quantum physics suggests that at the most fundamental level, everything is interconnected. Particles that were once entangled remain connected even when separated by vast distances, a phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. So what if your thoughts of her are not merely the result of a desperate mind clinging to the past? What if they are a reflection of something more profound, something rooted in the very nature of existence itself? But here's the brutal truth. You are allowing yourself to be enslaved by forces you barely understand. You've convinced yourself that your connection to her is real, meaningful, perhaps even cosmic. And maybe it is. But what if your obsession is nothing more than a distorted manifestation of your own mind's attempt to rationalize pain? What if your yearning for her is simply the result of neurons firing desperately in the dark, creating illusions of connection where none truly exist? The Stoics believed that suffering is the result of attachment to things outside your control. But what if your suffering is amplified by forces beyond the psychological? What if your obsession is reinforced by quantum processes that science has only just begun to explore? The mind is not just a biological machine. It is a field of energy, an interconnected web of thoughts, memories, and desires. Today, we will delve into the science of attachment, longing, and emotional resonance. We will explore how concepts from quantum physics intersect with your own thoughts, potentially influencing your reality in ways you never imagined. We will uncover how the very act of focusing on her may be creating a feedback loop, amplifying your obsession and binding you even tighter to her memory. This is part 2 of your journey, and if you truly want to reclaim your mind, you must understand the forces at play, both psychological and quantum. If you are ready to break free, like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic. Comment below with your war cry, "I reclaim my own mind," or share your story of obsession and how you are confronting it. Because the answers you seek are not just in the mind, they are in the very nature of reality itself. Number 1. Quantum entanglement. The invisible connection that binds you. You can't stop thinking about her. No matter how many months have passed, she lingers in your mind like a shadow that refuses to fade. It's not just the memories, it's the feeling that something deeper connects you. An energy you can't explain, a presence you can't ignore. You convince yourself it's only obsession, but what if it's something more? What if your thoughts are not just a psychological defect, but a reflection of something profoundly real? In quantum physics, there exists a concept called quantum entanglement. When two particles interact, they become entangled, meaning their states are linked in such a way that even when separated by vast distances, a change in one particle instantly affects the other. Albert Einstein himself called this phenomenon spooky action at a distance. But what if this principle applies not only to particles, but to people? After all, the brain is composed of particles, neurons firing in complex patterns of energy and matter. If you once shared a deep connection with her, could it be possible that your minds are still entangled, even though you are no longer together? Consider Ryan, a 35-year-old architect from Chicago. He met Sophie during a work conference, and their chemistry was instantaneous. What started as casual conversations over coffee turned into deep, late-night discussions about life, ambition, and vulnerability. For Ryan, Sophie was more than just a lover. She was a mirror that reflected the best parts of him. But as their relationship intensified, so did the complications. Sophie received an unexpected job offer in New York, and despite their attempts to make it work, the distance eventually drove them apart. They broke up, but Ryan couldn't move on. Even months later, he found himself consumed by thoughts of Sophie, replaying old conversations, imagining how things could have been different. It wasn't just nostalgia. Ryan often felt Sophie's presence, as if her energy was still intertwined with his own. He would wake up thinking about her, feel her presence in moments of silence, and even experience vivid dreams of her reaching out to him. It was as if some unseen connection still bound them together. Psychologists might explain Ryan's experience as emotional contagion or shared memory retrieval, processes where two people who once shared deep emotional bonds continue to influence each other's thoughts, even after separation. But what if there's more to it? Quantum physics offers a perspective that aligns with Ryan's experience. In 2008, a study published in the journal Nature demonstrated that particles once entangled could remain connected regardless of distance. Scientists discovered that when one particle's state was altered, the other responded instantaneously, even if separated by miles. If particles can remain connected through an invisible, inexplicable bond, why not human minds? Especially when intense emotions and shared experiences have forged such a powerful link. Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff's quantum consciousness theory proposes that consciousness itself may operate at a quantum level, suggesting that the mind's interactions are not confined to mere biology. Ryan's obsession with Sophie could be seen not just as emotional attachment, but as a form of quantum entanglement, a mental link that continued to resonate long after their relationship ended. His thoughts of her weren't just memories. They were manifestations of a connection that persisted beyond physical interaction. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." But what if his Stoic wisdom could be applied to something far more complex? If Ryan's mind was entangled with Sophie's, then his thoughts of her were not mere illusions. They were echoes of a connection that still existed at some unseen level. But here's the brutal truth. Understanding the connection doesn't make it healthy. Ryan's fixation on Sophie, whether rooted in quantum entanglement or emotional dependency, was tearing him apart. His work suffered. His relationships with friends deteriorated. His own sense of identity began to erode. He realized that whether or not the connection was real, it was still controlling him. The Stoics understood that true power lies not in understanding everything, but in mastering oneself. Marcus Aurelius also wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Ryan decided to reclaim his mind. Instead of trying to forget Sophie, he focused on disentangling himself from her presence. He began a daily practice of mindfulness meditation, dedicating 20 minutes each morning to observe his thoughts without judgment. When thoughts of Sophie emerged, he acknowledged them, then let them drift away like leaves floating down a stream. Ryan also employed a technique called cognitive reframing, challenging his own beliefs about his connection to Sophie. He asked himself whether his thoughts were truly a sign of something mystical, or simply a habit formed by his own mind's attachment. The results were not immediate, but they were real. Slowly, Brian began to feel a sense of liberation. The thoughts of Sophie still appeared, but they no longer controlled him. By acknowledging their presence without feeding them, he gradually weakened their hold. Practical strategies to break free from quantum-level fixation. 1. Mindfulness meditation. Dedicate at least 20 minutes a day to observing your thoughts without judgment. When thoughts of her arise, acknowledge them, but do not engage. Let them pass like clouds drifting through the sky. 2. Cognitive reframing. Challenge your own beliefs about your connection to her. Ask yourself if your thoughts are truly evidence of something deeper or simply habits your mind has formed. 3. Visualization techniques. Picture yourself disentangling from her presence. Visualize the energy between you dissolving, allowing you to reclaim your own power. 4. Focus on personal growth. Redirect your energy toward your own ambitions and goals. Build something that is yours alone, untainted by obsession. Ryan's journey was not about denying his connection to Sophie. It was about reclaiming control over his own mind. Quantum entanglement may suggest that connections persist beyond physical interaction. But the Stoics teach that true freedom comes from mastering oneself. Whether your obsession is rooted in emotional dependency or some unseen connection, the truth remains the same. The only mind you truly control is your own. And the only freedom worth having is the freedom to think and act without restraint. Number 2, the observer effect. How your thoughts influence reality. It's not just that you're thinking about her. It's that your thoughts feel like they're affecting her, as if your mental energy is somehow reaching out and connecting with her presence. You tell yourself it's all in your head, that obsession is a prison of your own making. But what if your thoughts are actually influencing her reality? What if the very act of thinking about her is creating an impact beyond your own mind? In quantum physics, there exists a phenomenon known as the observer effect. It suggests that the act of observation itself alters the state of what is being observed. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles such as electrons were fired at a barrier with 2 slits. When unobserved, the particles acted like waves, creating an interference pattern on a screen. But the moment they were observed, they behaved like particles, following a specific trajectory. The simple act of observation changed their behavior. This discovery shattered the foundations of classical physics. It implied that consciousness itself could affect the physical world. But how does this relate to your obsession? And more importantly, what does it mean for your ability to move on? Consider James, a 31-year-old entrepreneur from San Diego. He had been in a long-distance relationship with Emily, a woman he met during a business trip. Despite their efforts to make things work, the relationship ended. But James couldn't stop thinking about her. The more he tried to push her out of his mind, the stronger her presence seemed to grow. He would have dreams about her, moments where he swore he felt her energy nearby. One day, Emily reached out to him unexpectedly. She admitted that she had been thinking about him constantly, feeling his presence as if he were somehow still connected to her. The irony was that James had been doing the exact same thing. Their thoughts had intertwined, like 2 threads woven into the same fabric. Psychologists have a term for this phenomenon: emotional contagion. It's the idea that emotions and thoughts can be transferred from one person to another, even without direct communication. Studies conducted by social psychologist Elaine Hatfield have shown that individuals can influence each other's emotional states merely through observation or mental focus. But what if this concept goes even deeper? What if your constant thoughts of her are not just psychological noise, but actual energy being projected into the world? According to some interpretations of quantum mechanics, consciousness itself may have the ability to influence reality. This aligns with theories of quantum consciousness proposed by physicists such as Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, who suggest that the brain may function at a quantum level, allowing thoughts and emotions to interact with the fabric of existence. Now consider Rachel, a 28-year-old artist from Chicago. After a painful breakup with her fiancé, Alex, she found herself unable to stop thinking about him. But instead of feeling sorrow, she felt a strange sense of connection. It was as if her mind was constantly reaching out to him, influencing his thoughts as well. Weeks later, Alex contacted her, saying he couldn't get her out of his mind. Their conversation revealed something shocking. Both of them had been dreaming about each other at the same time. It was as if their minds were communicating through some unseen mechanism. From a psychological perspective, this could be explained as shared memory retrieval, where two people who have experienced intense emotional bonding continue to influence each other's thoughts, even after separation. But from a quantum perspective, it could be something far more profound, a form of entanglement between minds. The observer effect suggests that your thoughts may not just be affecting your own mind, but reaching out to influence her reality as well. If your mind is constantly focused on her, you are projecting energy, attention, and intention toward her existence. This could explain why thoughts of her feel so powerful, so visceral, so impossible to let go of. But here's the crucial insight. The same observer effect that keeps you trapped can be used to set you free. The Stoics understood this concept long before quantum physics emerged. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are constantly entangled with her, then you are painting your own reality with her presence. Changing your thoughts, then, is not just a matter of willpower. It is a deliberate act of redirecting your own energy towards something constructive. Instead of obsessing over her, you can focus your attention on your own growth, creativity, and purpose. Practical strategies to break free from the observer. Effect: redirect your attention. Instead of trying to force yourself to stop thinking about her, actively focus on something else. Channel your energy into a creative project, physical exercise, or a skill you wish to develop. 2. Mindful observation. Practice observing your own thoughts without judgment. When thoughts of her arise, acknowledge them, but do not allow them to control your mind. This weakens the neural pathways associated with obsession. 3. Visualization techniques. Imagine yourself breaking the energetic connection. Visualize her image fading away, replaced by a stronger, clearer vision of your own goals and desires. 4. Daily affirmations. Remind yourself that your thoughts create your reality. Affirm your own strength, independence, and purpose. Repeat these affirmations daily to rewire your own mental patterns. The observer effect teaches you something profound. Your thoughts matter, not just to you, but potentially to the very reality you inhabit. By reclaiming your thoughts, you reclaim your life. The Stoics understood that true power lies within your own mind. Quantum physics suggests the same. The act of observation itself holds power, so use it wisely. Shift your focus away from her, and you may find that your own reality begins to change. Number 3, emotional frequency, tuning into her energy. It's as if your mind is a radio dial, constantly searching for her frequency. No matter what you do, your thoughts always seem to tune back to her. It feels involuntary, almost mechanical. But what if it's not just your imagination? What if your brain is literally resonating at the same frequency as hers? The idea of emotional frequency suggests that emotions themselves are energetic states, each operating at a specific frequency. Joy, love, anger, sadness. All of them emit unique energetic signatures. When two people share a deep emotional connection, their frequencies can become synchronized. And even after separation, your mind can remain tuned to that same emotional wavelength, like a radio that refuses to change stations. Consider Mike, a 34-year-old musician from Austin, Texas. He met Sarah during a concert where his band was performing. She was the only person in the crowded room who seemed to understand his music on a level that transcended mere appreciation. They spent weeks together, exchanging stories, dreams, and creative ideas. For Mike, Sarah was more than a lover. She was a muse, a source of inspiration that unlocked parts of his creativity he hadn't accessed in years. But life pulled them in different directions. Sarah moved to Los Angeles to pursue her art career, and Mike remained in Austin, clinging to the hope that their connection would survive the distance. It didn't. Sarah drifted away, her focus consumed by her own ambitions. Mike tried to move on, but he couldn't. It wasn't just longing, it was a sensation, a presence that felt almost physical. He would be working on a new song, and suddenly her image would flash into his mind, disrupting his concentration. It was as if Sarah's energy was still intertwined with his own, refusing to be silenced. Neuroscience offers a possible explanation for Mike's experience. The human brain operates using electrical impulses that generate electromagnetic fields. Studies have shown that emotional states can influence these fields, producing what researchers call emotional resonance. When two people share intense emotional experiences, their brain waves can synchronize, a phenomenon known as interpersonal neural synchrony. A 2018 study conducted at Dartmouth College demonstrated that brain activity between individuals who share a deep connection can become synchronized during moments of emotional intensity. This synchronization, measurable through EEG scans, suggests that emotional frequencies are not just metaphors. They are real, measurable phenomena. But what about after separation? Why do some connections seem to persist long after they should have faded? Quantum theory offers one possible answer. According to resonance theory of consciousness, proposed by Dr. Stuart Hameroff, consciousness itself is a series of vibrational states that interact with the physical world. When two people share a profound connection, their energetic frequencies can become aligned, creating a resonance that continues to echo even after they part ways. Mike's obsession with Sarah was not just emotional, it was energetic. His own mind had tuned itself to her frequency, and it refused to change stations. He found himself revisiting old messages, replaying their conversations in his mind, writing songs that felt haunted by her presence. It wasn't until he stumbled upon a quote by Epictetus that something shifted within him. Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold to your true aspirations, no matter what is going on around you. The Stoic wisdom cut through Mike's confusion like a knife. His obsession was not about Sarah. It was about his own failure to recognize that he had allowed his creative energy to become dependent on her presence. By clinging to her frequency, he was sacrificing his own. Determined to reclaim his mind, Mike decided to apply the same creativity that once drew him to Sarah to his own personal growth. He began experimenting with sound therapy, using specific frequencies known to promote emotional healing and mental clarity. Frequencies like 528 Hz, often called the miracle tone, and 396 Hz, known for releasing negative emotions. He also started practicing gratitude journaling, writing down moments of joy, inspiration, and progress each day. By doing so, he began to shift his own emotional frequency away from Sarah's and towards something more powerful, his own ambitions, his own creativity. Mike's journey was not about forgetting Sarah. It was about retuning his mind to a frequency that empowered him rather than enslaved him. And in doing so, he discovered that the energy he once wasted on her could be redirected towards something greater. Practical strategies to retune your emotional frequency. 1. Sound therapy. Experiment with healing frequencies like 528 Hz or 396 Hz. Listen to these tones daily while meditating or journaling. The brain's plasticity allows it to adapt to new frequencies, helping you break old patterns of thought. 2. Gratitude journaling. Write down 3 things you are grateful for each day. Focus on moments of personal growth, creativity, and joy. This practice helps shift your emotional frequency away from obsession and toward fulfillment. 3. Visualization techniques. Imagine your emotional frequency as a radio dial. See yourself turning away from her station and tuning into your own. Visualize your creativity flourishing, unbound by her presence. 4. Energy redirection. Channel your emotional energy into productive tasks. Whether it's art, exercise, or learning a new skill, redirect your thoughts towards something that builds rather than destroys. 5. Detachment practice. Remind yourself that your mind controls the frequency it tunes into. You are not a victim of your thoughts. You are the master of them. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from mastery over your own mind. Mike's journey proved that the frequency of your thoughts is yours to control. You can choose to tune into her energy or retune your mind to something far more powerful. Your own strength, your own creativity, your own life. Number 4. Balancing the connection. Reclaiming your emotional equilibrium. You feel her presence more than ever. Her name echoes through your mind. Her image lingers in your thoughts. It feels like she's occupying too much space, controlling your emotions, disrupting your peace, consuming your energy. But what if this fixation isn't just about her? What if it's about you? The mind craves equilibrium. But when you become overly attached to someone, your emotional energy becomes imbalanced. It's like placing a heavy weight on one side of a scale and expecting the balance to remain steady. The more you focus on her, the more your mind tilts toward obsession, leaving you off-center, lost, and disempowered. The Stoics understood the importance of emotional balance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what happens when your thoughts are consumed by someone else? When your own energy becomes tangled in an obsession that feels impossible to break? Consider David, a 37-year-old financial consultant from New York. He met Mia during a corporate seminar, and their chemistry was immediate. They spent months talking about their dreams, struggles, and ambitions. For David, Mia represented not only love, but also inspiration, a source of motivation that made him feel more alive than he ever had before. But when Mia ended things, claiming she needed time to focus on herself, David's world collapsed. His thoughts became a chaotic whirlwind of memories, regrets, and fantasies. It was as if his mind had been hijacked, all of his energy directed toward Mia, even though she was no longer part of his life. David couldn't understand why he couldn't let go. He tried dating other women, immersing himself in work, distracting himself with hobbies. But nothing worked. His thoughts would always drift back to Mia, like a compass needle drawn to magnetic north. What David didn't realize was that his obsession was not just about Mia. It was about the energy he had invested in her. He had poured so much of himself into their connection that when it ended, he was left depleted, unbalanced, and struggling to reclaim his own emotional stability. Psychological research supports this concept. Studies in attachment theory have shown that when individuals form deep emotional bonds, their brains release chemicals such as oxytocin and dopamine, creating sensations of pleasure, attachment, and security. But when those connections are severed, the brain responds with symptoms similar to withdrawal from addiction. A 2010 study published in the journal Social Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience demonstrated that the same brain regions activated by physical pain are also triggered by emotional rejection. It's not just metaphorical, it's physiological. And the more energy you invest in someone, the harder it becomes to reclaim your own emotional balance. But here's the truth. The power to restore equilibrium lies within you. By acknowledging that your thoughts are out of balance, you take the first step toward reclaiming your own energy. The Stoics believed that emotional mastery begins with self-awareness. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." To be free from obsession, you must be brave enough to confront your own thoughts, rather than trying to escape them. David's breakthrough came when he finally asked himself a simple but powerful question. What does this obsession teach me about myself? For the first time, he stopped viewing Mia as the source of his suffering and began to examine his own thoughts. He realized that his obsession was rooted in a need for validation, a desire to feel worthy, and a fear of facing his own insecurities. With this new awareness, David began practicing techniques designed to balance his own energy. He incorporated mindfulness meditation into his daily routine, allowing himself to observe his thoughts without judgment. Instead of fighting against his obsession, he allowed it to exist, but refused to let it control him. He also practiced energy rechanneling, redirecting his emotional energy into activities that strengthened his own identity, fitness, creative projects, and professional goals. Rather than trying to fill the void Mia had left, David focused on building something new from within. Most importantly, David embraced the concept of emotional equilibrium. He understood that his thoughts about Mia were not inherently wrong, but that allowing them to dominate his mind was. Instead of trying to erase her from his thoughts, he aimed to balance them, giving his own ambitions, passions, and personal growth equal weight. Psychological techniques such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, support this approach. By challenging irrational thoughts and replacing them with constructive beliefs, individuals can achieve a more balanced perspective. Studies have shown that cognitive restructuring, a fundamental aspect of CBT, can significantly reduce symptoms of obsession and emotional dependency. David's journey was not about forgetting Mia. It was about reclaiming his own mind from the imbalance he had created. By acknowledging his own needs, desires, and fears, he was able to restore his emotional equilibrium and move forward with renewed strength. Practical strategies to reclaim emotional balance. 1. Self-reflection. Ask yourself what your obsession is teaching you about yourself. Are you seeking validation, avoiding pain, or trying to recapture something you've lost? Write down your thoughts to gain clarity. 2. Mindfulness meditation. Dedicate 15 minutes a day to observing your thoughts, without judgment. When thoughts of her arise, acknowledge them, then gently guide your attention back to your breath or a calming image. 3. Energy rechanneling. Redirect your emotional energy into productive activities, whether it's exercise, creative expression, or professional development. Give yourself a new focus. 4. Cognitive restructuring. Challenge irrational beliefs that fuel your obsession. Remind yourself that your worth is not determined by her presence or absence. 5. Emotional equilibrium. Exercise. Visualize your thoughts as weights on a scale. See yourself removing her from one side and placing your own aspirations, values, and passions on the other. Balance is achieved through conscious effort. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Your obsession is not just about her. It's about the imbalance you have created by allowing her to dominate your mind. To reclaim your energy, you must embrace your own strength, your own purpose, your own life. You cannot control her, but you can control yourself. And that is where true freedom begins. Number 5. Emotional imprint. The residue of what once was. There's a reason you can't let her go. It's not just nostalgia or longing. It's something deeper. Something that feels imprinted on your very soul. Every time you close your eyes, you feel her presence. Every time you try to move forward, her memory pulls you back. You're not just remembering her, you're feeling her. The concept of emotional imprint suggests that intense emotional experiences leave lasting marks on both your mind and body. It's like a fingerprint pressed into wet cement, an impression that hardens over time, becoming a permanent part of you. But this imprint is not just psychological, it's energetic. The human heart produces the strongest electromagnetic field in the body. Studies conducted by the HeartMath Institute have demonstrated that the heart's electromagnetic field can be detected several feet away from the body and varies according to emotional states. When you experience powerful emotions, such as love, desire, or pain, that energy is not only stored in your memory, but also imprinted upon your physical being. Consider Alex, a 33-year-old photographer from Seattle. He met Emma during a creative workshop, and their connection was instantaneous. They spent months working on projects together, sharing late-night conversations and dreams about the future. For Alex, Emma wasn't just a woman. She was a muse, a source of inspiration that reignited his passion for photography. But like so many stories, their relationship ended abruptly. Emma moved to New York to pursue a new career opportunity, leaving Alex devastated. What hurt the most wasn't her departure, but the emptiness she left behind. His creativity dried up. His motivation crumbled. It was as if Emma's absence had hollowed him out from the inside. Alex tried everything to move on, traveling, immersing himself in new projects, even dating other women. But nothing worked. Every time he picked up his camera, he saw her face. Every time he tried to find inspiration, his thoughts drifted back to her. It was as if Emma had left a scar on his mind, a mark that refused to heal. Neuroscientists have discovered that intense emotional experiences create neural pathways in the brain. These pathways are like well-worn trails, reinforced by repetition and emotional intensity. The more you think about someone, especially when accompanied by powerful emotions, the deeper those pathways become. This is why memories of her feel so vivid, so alive, even long after she's gone. But it's not just about the brain. Research suggests that the body itself stores emotional memories. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, a trauma specialist and author of The Body Keeps the Score, explains that emotional experiences, particularly traumatic ones, are often stored within the muscles, tissues, and organs. The body literally remembers what the mind tries to forget. For Alex, the problem wasn't simply that he missed Emma. It was that her presence had become embedded in his creative process, his emotional identity, his very sense of self. He wasn't just grieving her loss. He was struggling against the emotional imprint she had left behind. The Stoics understood that suffering often arises from attachment to things outside of our control. But what if the suffering isn't caused by attachment itself, but by the energetic residue left behind? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But how do you reclaim your mind when it feels stained by someone else's presence? Alex's breakthrough came not from trying to erase Emma from his thoughts, but from understanding why her memory held such power over him. He realized that Emma had become a symbol of his own creative energy. By associating her presence with inspiration, he had allowed her memory to dictate his own creativity. To break free from her emotional imprint, Alex needed to reclaim his creative energy. He began a practice of energy releasing techniques, which included visualization exercises designed to release emotional residue. He would close his eyes, imagine Emma's presence as a shadow clinging to his body, and visualize himself peeling that shadow away, piece by piece, until he felt light and unburdened. He also began practicing heart coherence techniques, a method developed by the HeartMath Institute to synchronize the brain and heart's electromagnetic fields. By focusing on feelings of gratitude, compassion, and inner peace, Alex was able to recalibrate his emotional energy, redirecting it toward his own growth rather than clinging to memories of Emma. Psychologists refer to this process as cognitive restructuring, the practice of challenging and replacing irrational beliefs with healthier, more constructive ones. By reshaping his own thought patterns, Alex was able to weaken the emotional imprint Emma had left behind. Practical strategies to break free from emotional imprints. 1. Visualization. Exercises. Close your eyes and imagine her presence as a shadow, lingering in your mind. Visualize yourself slowly removing that shadow, releasing it into the air until nothing remains. 2. Heart coherence techniques. Focus on feelings of gratitude, compassion, or joy. Breathe deeply and slowly, visualizing your heart's energy radiating outward, cleansing away emotional residue. 3. Cognitive restructuring. Identify the beliefs you hold about her and challenge their validity. Remind yourself that your emotional energy is yours to control. 4. Journaling. Write about the emotions you feel toward her. Acknowledge them then. Consciously choose to release them. 5. Creative rechanneling. Redirect the energy she once inspired into a new project, goal, or passion. Use the very emotions she evoked to create something meaningful. Alex's journey was not about forgetting Emma. It was about reclaiming the energy she had once dominated. By acknowledging the emotional imprint she had left and choosing to release it, Alex discovered something powerful. His creativity, his passion, his very essence were never hers to control. They were his all along. Marcus Aurelius's words proved true. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By reclaiming his emotional energy, Alex found not only freedom from obsession, but also a deeper connection to his own purpose. You may feel as if she has left a permanent mark on your soul, but that mark is not unbreakable. It is simply a memory, one that you have the power to reshape, release, and transcend. Conclusion. The truth is brutal, but it's also liberating. The emotional imprint she left on you is not a curse. It's a consequence, a result of pouring your energy, your passion, your very essence into a connection that no longer exists. But just because that imprint feels permanent doesn't mean it is. It only persists because you keep feeding it, nurturing it with thoughts, memories, and fantasies that only deepen its roots. The Stoics understood that true freedom lies in reclaiming your own mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now." Her memory is not the enemy. Your attachment to it is. The emotional imprint she left was never truly hers. It was always yours. Science and philosophy converge on this point. The energy you invest in someone else is energy you deny yourself. By allowing her memory to dominate your thoughts, you are surrendering your own power. You are allowing the imprint to control you rather than confronting and transforming it. If you want to reclaim your mind, you must be willing to confront the emotional residue head-on. Acknowledge it, accept it, and then release it. Not with resentment or bitterness, but with understanding. Her presence in your mind is nothing more than a shadow cast by your own thoughts, and shadows only exist where there is light. Take back your energy, reclaim your emotional balance, redirect your thoughts towards something worthy of your attention, your own growth, your own dreams, your own purpose. This is the essence of Stoicism: mastery over the self, control over the mind, freedom from what you cannot change. If you are ready to take that step, like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic. Comment below with your declaration, "I reclaim my own mind," or share your own story of breaking free from emotional imprints. Because healing is not about erasing the past. It's about reclaiming your power and moving forward with strength and clarity. Thank you for watching. And remember, the only mind you truly control is your own.